Hey guys, it's me Heisennburgg, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to download and install Vividian ENB. And yes, I've already made a tutorial for this ENB already, but about 2 or 3 weeks ago this ENB just had a major update to where it just completely changed everything about how the ENB is installed. So that pretty much made my last tutorial pretty irrelevant to the new updated version. And the author also wanted me to make like a remade version, so I told him I would be honored to help them out. So yeah, jumping right into the installation. There'll be a link for it down in the description if you're not already here. And as you can tell by the title, it's compatible with pretty much any weather mod out there, including Purity, which I thought was really cool, because not a lot of ENBs are currently compatible with it since it's pretty new. Well, it's kind of new now. And it's also compatible with ELFX and RLO, but the author says not to use the ELFX enhancer or the RLO weathers with the ENB, so keep that in mind if you're using either one of those weather mods or lighting mods to double check, just to make sure you're not using those plugins with this ENB. And then another thing that I quickly wanted to point out is if you scroll down to this showcase section underneath the videos, you'll see that there's a link right here for a web chat function, which is basically like, it's pretty much like a help hotline or web chat function for the ENB, which I have a massive amount of respect for the creators for making something like this that are so dedicated to help out their users. I've never seen anything like that. So I give the creators for that a massive amount of respect. So if anybody like was having any troubleshooting with this, or if they just needed some questions answered, they're really encouraging us to check out the hotline, so I just kind of wanted to point that out to you guys. So getting into the actual installation now, if you scroll down and go to the basic installation part, you'll see step number 1 is the ENB Setup, and if we right click on this latest ENB link, we're going to open link in new tab, and it'll take us to the enbdev.com page. This ENB uses the latest binary, so we're going to be doing version 272 at the time of this video. That's the newest one. And if we scroll down to the bottom of the page, we're going to click the download arrow, and it's going to start downloading as an archive, so you're going to need either WinRAR or 7-zip in order to install this correctly. And for the people that don't have an archive program, there'll be links for either programs down in my description. But either way, once it's done downloading, you're going to get a pop-up that looks like this. And when you do, you can go ahead and drag and drop the archive on your desktop. And once you've put it on your desktop or wherever you extract things to, you're going to right click it. And if you use WinRAR, go ahead and click this option right here. And if you use 7-zip, bring down your menu and click this option right here. And it's going to extract it into a folder, which is what we want. And once you've drag and dropped it, or once you've extracted it, you can go ahead and delete the archive for it if you want. And what we're going to do now is we're going to locate our Skyrim folder. And if you use Nexus Mod Manager, go ahead and bring up Nexus Mod Manager. And you're going to click this orange folder up here in your toolbar with an arrow coming out of it. And then click Open Game Folder in the drop-down menu. And it'll bring you right to your Skyrim folder. You'll know you're in the correct place if you see Skyrim Launcher and TESV. If you don't see the .exe at the end of it, don't worry about it. It's the same thing whether it has it or not. And then if you use Mod Organizer, there's unfortunately not a button that I'm aware of that'll take you right to it, but if you look down here in this little filter section, it'll tell you the letter drive it's on, and then Programs, Steam, Steam Apps, Common, and Skyrim. So it's going to be wherever you installed Steam at. But once you get to your Skyrim folder, go ahead and open up the 272 folder that we just extracted. And you're going to see a wrapper version. Whoops. You're going to see an Injector version and a wrapper version. I'm going to be going over the wrapper version, but for the people that have issues with the wrapper version, there'll be an annotation that you can click on right about now that'll take you to a really good Injector version tutorial. But for now, just go ahead and open up the wrapper version folder. And the two files that we're going to need out of here are the d3d9.dll file and the enbhost.exe file. We can go ahead and copy those and then paste those over to your Skyrim folder. Yours isn't going to say copy and replace. I already had this installed because Marillus Action failed out on me. I've already recorded this video a couple times, but I'm having to redo it. But once you've copied those two files over, we're going to go ahead and open up our internet browser. We can close out of ENB Dev. And we're going to scroll up to the top of the Vividian page and click the Files tab. And under Main Files, you'll see a Vividian ENB7 folder, or file. And you're going to click Download with Manager, and it's going to start downloading in your mod manager of choice. Make sure you're clicking Download with Manager. And then under Optional Files, you'll see a Vivid Clouds and Fogs add-on. And it tells you everything it does in the picture. It has all these box check marked. It's basically like a high-quality weather system made specifically for this ENB, which I think is really awesome. So I'm going to download it with Manager, but I already had it downloaded because this mod takes a long time for me to download, so I did that off camera. So yeah, if you want to install this, click Download with Manager, and I'm going to go ahead and download with Manager the Vividian files, and then go ahead and click Continue with my download twice. And I'll come back once my ENB files are done installing. Alright guys, so once your ENB files have finished installing in your mod manager of choice, you're going to go ahead and activate it, or double click on it if you use Mod Organizer. And for both mod managers, you're going to get a FOMOD menu pop up once you've activated it. And for my tutorial, I'm going to be going over the custom install. So go ahead and click Custom Install and then click Next. And then this page is pretty self-explanatory, but I'll go over it just so no one gets confused. Under ENB main files, there's two different versions of this ENB. There's the vanilla version, which focuses on the original vanilla Skyrim look, giving it a little more color and saturation and stuff like that. And then the vivid version is more saturated, more vibrant, and has a little more color than the vanilla version. If you hover your mouse over either option, it'll give you more information about it up here. You can choose whichever one you want, but I'm going to be going with the Vivid version. And then, again, ENB lighting options is pretty self-explanatory. You can choose brighter nights and interiors, or both combined. And then you can do the same thing with darker nights and interiors, or you can just have normal lighting with no change. I'm going to be doing darker nights and interiors because I like my game a little more realistic, and I think the darker interiors look good with this ENB. And then ENB performance options is a pretty important part of this ENB for configuring it correctly. The default version is pretty much going to be good for gameplay for people that have mid-range or high-end PCs. Make sure you choose carefully because you don't want it to be too laggy to the point to where you can't play it. I'm going to be going with the high quality version because my frame rate is perfectly fine for high quality. But make sure you choose correctly, or wisely and correctly for your system. And then ENB sharpening options is pretty self-explanatory as well. I'm going to be going with the default options, but if you wanted to know a little more about sharpen and smooth, you can just hover your mouse over them and then read what they say up here. So once you've configured this page to your liking and to your needs, go ahead and click Next. And then ELE Light 0.95A. This is only for people that are using enhanced lighting for ENB, which is a lighting mod, and I'm not using it, so I'm going to go ahead and click None. But if you are using it, make sure you configure it to your game correctly with the options up here. And then ELE Old Fallback. Pretty much everybody is probably going to be leaving this blank unless you use an older version of enhanced lighting for ENB, or if this doesn't work for you correctly, like for the people that are using ELE, you could use this down here if this wasn't working for you correctly, or if you're using an older version, like I said. So once you've configured this page to your needs, go ahead and click Next. And then ENB optional files, you're definitely going to want to make sure the ENBLOCAL.INI file is checkmarked. And if you wanted to, you could also checkmark the support files if you wanted to learn about the author's Skyrim pref settings and stuff like that. It tells you where it's at up here. And then the the extended cinematic lens effect, it has the a diagram picture down here of disabled and enabled, but it does cost 2 frames per second. I'm gonna leave that unchecked because I don't really see a need to use it at the moment. And then the SMAA anti-aliasing is very high quality anti-aliasing. So again, this is optional for you if you want to use it. You can read more up here about it if you wish, but I'm going to be leaving it unchecked. And then the depth of field options, I'm just going to be going with the normal version, but if you wanted to use any of these, they all cost you 5 frames per second, so keep that in mind if you're looking to keep a pretty good frame rate. So go ahead and click Next once you've configured everything. And the Skyrim Fixes, the dim torches basically, it makes your, how do I explain it? Or I could just tell you to read the description if I can't explain it. I always forget about that description box up here. But you could see it for yourself in game if you want, since I'm not very good at explaining it. And then the red lights color fix is basically when you go indoors and you have extremely oversaturated light, like it almost gives like a red glow to you. If that happens to you, you could use it. Or you can reinstall the ENB if it does it with the ENB on. And then the remove sun glare is required, so make sure you leave that checked. I think it was checked by default. And then the compatibility patches for third-party mods. If you use Lanterns of Skyrim, make sure you check that. And or if you use the Wearable Lanterns mod, make sure you check that as well. And then the Mindflux particle patch. I always leave this checked because I think it makes a huge difference. It has a before and after down here of what the mod's supposed to do. And then the subsurface scattering patch. If you're not using SMIM, you might need to use this, but if you are using SMIM, you can pretty much just leave this unchecked because it pretty much corrects everything it needs to. And then go ahead and click Next. And then this part is pretty self-explanatory. It asks you up here, what weather mod do you use? And I'm using Purity, so I'm going to go ahead and check that. But if you use Climates of Tamriel, you're going to have to fill this section out down here. And for the people that aren't that don't know a lot of the abbreviations for the mods, AOS stands for Audio Overhaul for Skyrim, which is like a sound overhaul mod. And then ESS stands for Expanded Snow Systems, which is a plugin, like an add-on for Climates of Tamriel. And then SS is Supreme Storms, which is also an add-on for Climates of Tamriel. So if you use Climates of Tamriel with any of these add-ons, make sure you configure it correctly to your system, and then go ahead and click Next. And then we're going to go ahead and check mark, yes, I have read the description and now I know what to do. And then go ahead and click Install. And Nexus Mod Manager users, if it prompts you to overwrite anything, just click Overwrite All. And Mod Organizer users, don't forget to check mark it once it's done installing. Now, for the people that downloaded the Vivid Clouds and Fogs, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to install that now. And for the people that didn't install that, I'm going to have an annotation that you can click on that'll take you to the next part of the video. So, I'll see you guys in just a minute. Alright, so for the people that decided to download the Vivid Fogs and Clouds, or the Vivid Clouds and Fogs, we're going to go ahead and activate that. Or double click it if you're using Mod Organizer. And for both mod managers, it's going to give you a faux mod menu again, just like it did for the ENB installation. So, a side note for Mod Organizer users, before you even start installing everything, I'm going to ask you, or if you don't feel like merging this, which I don't recommend you do with the ENB plugin, I would highly recommend that you change the name of this to something else, like the Vivid Clouds and Fogs. Otherwise, it's going to merge. It's going to ask you to merge with your ENB files because it had the same name, and I just don't think that would be recommended to do. But yeah, Nexus Mod Manager users won't have that issue. But anyway, getting into the installation, this first page pretty much asks you what options did you want with the mod. If you look up here, this is the high quality version, and then down here is the half resolution options for, these are both the same thing, just one is higher quality than the other. So obviously if you're looking to save some performance, go with the half resolution version. I'm personally going to choose every plugin, but keep note, if you're using Climates of Tamriel, make sure you check mark the Vivid Clouds Climates of Tamriel plugin and not the first one. But like I said, I'm using Purity, so I'm going to check this and leave the Climates of Tamriel one blank. And I'm going to check all the other ones because I want all the other ones. So, yeah, whenever you're done configuring this to your wants and needs, go ahead and click Next. And then it's going to ask you to use Climates of Tamriel. And I'm not, so I'm going to click None. But it's just like it was in the installation. For the people that don't know, AOS stands for Audio Overhaul for Skyrim, which is a sound overhaul mod. ESS stands for Expanded Snow Systems, which is an add-on for Climates of Tamriel. And SS stands for Supreme Storms, which is also an add-on for Climates of Tamriel. So configure this to your needs and go ahead and click Next. And then this part is also very self-explanatory. This is vanilla Skyrim, so if you're not using any weather mods, if you're just using the vanilla weather system, you would fill this part out. And then Climates of Tamriel, Pure Weather, RCRN, Natural Lighting and Atmospherics, or Purity. And then it asks you, do you want ground fogs and windy clouds, or none, or do you want either one just by itself? So I'm going to use both, and then I'm going to go ahead and click Install. Climates of Tamriel, or, wow, Nexus Mod Manager users, click Overwrite All if it prompts you to do so. And Mod Organizer users, don't forget to check mark it once you click Install. Alright, so for the people that skipped ahead, that didn't install the Vivid Clouds and Fogs, we just got done installing that, so we're going to go back to your internet browser, and we're going to click the description page. We're going to go back to the basic installation section, and what we're going to be doing now is, I'll show you guys how to do this afterwards. We're going to be going back to our Skyrim folder, and I'm going to try to explain this in the best way that I can, because this part can get a little weird to explain. But basically, if you use Nexus Mod Manager, go ahead and click your data folder right here, and just stay there for a second. I'll show you what to click if you don't already. And Mod Organizer users, we're going to go ahead and go to our Mod Organizer folder. And once you get there, you're going to click Mods. And we're going to scroll down to the bottom, and you should see a Vividian Weather and Lighting Enhancements folder. And Nexus Mod Manager users, you should see the same folder inside of your data folder section. So go ahead and open that up, and then click Vividian ENB install files. Nexus Mod Manager users, it might say this instead of the Vividian Weather and Lighting Enhancements. So go ahead and open it up, whichever one it says. And we're going to copy these 3 files, and then we're going to paste them into our Skyrim folder. And yours isn't going to ask to copy and replace, but mine is, because I already have this installed. But so yeah, once you've it's only 3 files, so make sure you copy them in your Skyrim folder. And once you've done that, that's pretty much it for the ENB installation part. We're going to go back to our internet browser, and we're going to go back to step 3, where I just told you about the INI settings. Now, if you use Nexus Mod Manager, you can go down to your Start button, and then click Documents, and then you can click My Games right here, and then click Skyrim. And then you should see a Skyrim.ini file and a SkyrimPrefs.ini file. We're going to be focusing on the Skyrim Prefs, and I highly recommend that you install a program called Notepad++. It'll make your life a whole lot easier, trust me. But there'll be a link in the description if you're interested in it. Either way, we're going to be editing it, so go ahead and open that up. And if you use Mod Organizer, we're going to open up Mod Organizer, and you're going to click these 4 puzzle pieces right here, and you'll get a drop-down menu. Click Any Editor, and you'll see 2 tabs. Make sure you click the SkyrimPrefs.ini tab, and then you're in the correct place. Now, I'm going to show you guys a really quick and easy way to edit your settings. And if you go back to your internet browser, under Display, B-Float Point Render Target, you're going to double-click that, and it's going to highlight it for you. You're going to do Control-C to copy it. Nexus Mod Manager users, go to your Notepad and do Control-F to bring up a Find menu, and then Control-V to paste it. And then either hit Find Next or click Enter, and it'll find the setting automatically for you. This is the most important setting in any ENB configuration, so make sure you change that to 1. And if you use Mod Organizer, before you do the Control F command, make sure you click in the setting, the any box first, so it selects the box. And as you can see, after I did that, it highlighted in blue around the box, so that means it's selected. And then you can do the Control F and then the Control V command, and then find next. And as you can see, it found the setting for you automatically. Now, I'm going to have an annotation for the people that don't feel like watching me edit my any settings. I'll have an annotation that skips to the next part. But before you do skip to the next part, if it says cannot find on your notepad, just make sure you add the setting manually and then have it equal whatever it's supposed to equal. So yeah. So for the people that did want to stay, you're more than welcome to. So, make sure you do I'm going to do all of my editing in here. Usually I show next Notepad and Mod Organizer, but it just makes it way quicker to do it in here. Because this is what I use. And then here it is right there. So Nexus Mod Manager users, it's the same exact thing I'm doing. It's just 2 different programs. So you can still follow along. Just don't get confused. Dun, 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 dun. These ones are right here. Alright, yeah, those are already correct. Alright, so Mod Organizer users, if you had to edit anything, click the Save button down here, and then close out. Nexus Mod Manager users, you can go up to File up here, and then click Save, or Control S, and then you can close out. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to our Skyrim folder, where we copied all the ENB files to. And once you get back there, one of the files that we copied out of the Vividian file is called ENBLOCAL.INI. It may or may not have the .ini at the end of it. We're going to be editing that. And if you look under memory right here, we're going to be focusing on 3 different settings, which are reserved memory size MB, video memory size MB, and auto detect video memory size. I'm going to start with reserved memory size MB, and basically I'll try to explain this the easiest way I can. 128 is the lowest number you can use. 1024 is the highest number you can use. And this number, if you need to increase it or decrease it, it's to be increased or decreased in intervals of 128. And if you have 3 gigabytes of VRAM or more, not regular RAM, VRAM, 512 is a pretty good baseline to start at. And if you have less than 3 gigabytes of VRAM, 256 or 128 is a good baseline to start at. There's a diagram down in my description that has all the correct configurations for this number for the people that get confused. So yeah, that's reserved memory size MB. And now video memory size MB is how much VRAM that you have in megabytes, not regular RAM, VRAM. Make sure you don't get those mixed up. Now, luckily for some people that get confused by this part, a couple updates ago for the ENB binary, an auto detect video memory size setting was added, and this basically automatically detects your video memory size for you. So technically, people don't even have to worry about this, but for the people that get really picky with stuff like this and just want to set everything manually themselves because they know that their system is configured correctly and they know what works for them, you could change this to your correct number, your correct video memory size in megabytes, and then set this to false. But I would assume that most people are just going to leave this at true and then leave this at whatever the default was, so they didn't have to worry about it. But yeah, there's nothing, you can do whichever way you want. You could either do this manual or just leave this as it was. But once you've edited those 3 settings, you can go up to File and Save, and then close out. And we're going to go back to our Skyrim folder again, and we're going to open up the Skyrim launcher. And once you've opened it up, you can go ahead and click Options, and then make sure your anti-aliasing is set to off, and then make sure your anisotropic filtering is set to off as well. And then under Detail, you're going to go ahead and click Advanced, and then make sure the FXAA is disabled. And once it is, go ahead and click close, and then click OK, and then click exit. And before we go in game to make sure that everything is configured correctly, go back to your mod manager that you're using and go to your plugin section and make sure everything that says Vividian in front of it is checkmarked in your plugin section so that everything works as intended. Some people may have a lot more plugins than me. I know if you use Climates of Tamriel, you're going to have a bunch of Vividian plugins, so it'll depend on which weather mod you're using. But once everything is checkmarked, you can go ahead and run loot or run boss, whatever you use, so it can get these plugins all situated on where they're supposed to go. And then I'll go ahead and load up my game so you guys can see what this looks like. So I'll see you guys in just a second. Alright guys, so once you've loaded up your game, you should see this pop-up message in your top left-hand corner. And if you don't see that message in your top left-hand corner, you did something wrong, so make sure you go back and double-check that you've done everything exactly as I've done it. And then you'll get this yellow message telling you if you press Shift and Enter, it'll bring up this editor menu. And this is basically called your GUI menu, and you can tweak the ENB however you want through this little menu. Under the Effect tab, you can uncheck and check mark settings for performance reasons. You can basically do whatever you want. And then make sure you click Save Configuration and then Apply Changes if you want to get it working correctly, otherwise it'll just spaz out on you. And then Shift Enter to exit the menu. And then another quick tip is if you've pressed the star key on your number pad, it'll bring up a little FPS counter in your top left-hand corner for the people that don't have fraps or something like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and load up my game, and if I were you, I would preferably load it up somewhere indoors to prevent the chance of crashing. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and load up my game, and I'll edit that out so you guys don't have to sit through that, so I'll see you in just a second. Alright guys, so once you've loaded up your game, you pretty much should be able to tell right away that the ENB is working. If you wanted to double check and test it out just to make sure, or if you wanted to compare it to vanilla Skyrim, you could do Shift and F12 and it'll turn the ENB off, and then Shift F12 to turn the ENB back on. I'm gonna go ahead and walk around here real quick. I don't remember changing my grass mod to this, but apparently I did, and it's killing my frame rate right now. Also because I'm recording, but yeah guys, this is how you download and install Vividian ENB, and like I said, I'm using Purity with the Vivid Clouds and Fogs add-on, and yeah, you actually kind of get to see it a little bit in action with the fogs and stuff. But yeah, hopefully this was easier to understand than the last Vividian tutorial. The creators of this ENB worked really hard to get everything working as easy as they possibly can for you guys. So yeah, that's really about it for this installation. If there's an ENB that you'd like me to make a installation tutorial on, just leave me a comment or send me a message and I'll get back to you on it as soon as I can. But yeah guys, this has been Heisennburgg, and I'll see you guys in the next video.